Hello everyone! My name is Brother Merc X, broadcasting on to YouTube. And welcome back, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that, excuse me. It's been a long day for me, I'm a little bit tired anyways. So, recently, on my YouTube channel, on the message list, or even the comments list, a lot of people have been asking me, how did I start off my Resident Evil collection? How did I have a great fun? Where did it start from? How did I like it? All those great questions. Well, this video is going to answer you all about that. So, I'm trying to figure out where to begin. Oh yes, hold on a sec. So, speaking about Resident Evil, now, this wasn't the very first game I actually got. I'm gonna explain the very first story, my story of how I got into Resident Evil. Now, let's see. When I was very young, this is years ago, like, I'm talking about around 2003 or 4, around that time. I was very young. Okay. My brother used to have a PlayStation 1, and we still have it, but he kind of gave it to me as my own PlayStation 1 as years passed by. So it used to be his, but now it's mine. Well, back then, he used to have Resident Evil 1 and 2, and when I was very little, as around 5 or 6 years old, I used to watch my brother play Resident Evil all the time. Now, of course, as when you're actually a little kid, you think those games are very scary, which was actually very scary to me. But I just still kept watching him playing Resident Evil. Of course, around that time, I didn't remember much what was happening because, I was too young to actually understand what's going on. So I just watched him for fun. I asked him sometimes if I can play it while he's busy on the computer doing work on the computer. So I played Resident Evil on my own. Of course, as a typical young little kid, you didn't know how to play the game, and you would die a lot. I remember that a lot. Oh, but you guys wondering who's in the background? I have 2 dogs in my room right now because right now it's raining and they're afraid of the rain. But it's fine. So, back to what I was saying. Now, that's pretty much like my background story of how I knew a bit of Resident Evil. And ever since then, I was actually afraid of Resident Evil. Now, here's the true story of how I got into Resident Evil. Hold on a sec. Okay then, so 8 years ago, right, around 2008, this is around the time when I also got the Xbox 360. It was also still somewhat brand new around the time. Of course, it was actually a bit years old, but I still got it. Well, one day I was actually on my computer and something just popped up in my head, just sprung up on my head. And I was thinking to myself, that one scary game that my brother used to play a lot, I typed it in. I typed Resident Evil. The first game that popped up was this. Resident Evil 4. That's right. This was actually the very first game that actually got me into Resident Evil 4. Around that time, I did not have Resident Evil 4. I watched a gameplay of Resident Evil 4 on YouTube around the time. It was the GameCube version of Resident Evil 4. And I thought, whoa, this is actually amazing. I mean, this game is, really cool. It was very actiony. Of course, it was on a time when I was also young, too, so I didn't know much better. So, I told my father one day, he was shopping, and then he went to go visit GameStop. And around that time, Resident Evil 5 was actually new. Believe it or not, this is my first game I've got in my Resident Evil collection. This jump-started my Resident Evil fandom, but not completely. So my father brought it back home. I was playing a lot. Months later, my brother came by to actually visit, and One day he actually went into my room, and I told him, "Hey, dude, check this out." I told him it's Resident Evil 5, and his reaction was, "Oh God, no!" And of course, around the time, I don't know much about Resident Evil. I thought that's what what Resident Evil was. But then, years later, not years later, like a week or a few weeks later, my brother told me, "Do you want to see a real Resident Evil game?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Next time you bring it over." My first Resident Evil experience I had was the Resident Evil remake for the Nintendo GameCube. Around this time, I didn't know anything about the far view corner cameras, the tank controls, everything was new to me. I was never, I was not used to this type of gameplay style. Everything was really hard, but I had great fun of it. Of course, it was challenging for me for its time, but it was so fun. Of course, I spent like about a good 10 minutes of learning how to do the running around, because at first, when you're new to the game, it's kind of complicated to actually understand. And then, slowly, after time, I actually beat the game, and this game was the one that actually jump-started my likes of Resident Evil. That's why I'm saying that Resident Evil 1 and also the remake are my favorite games of the Resident Evil franchise, because this is the game that actually sprung up my likes and interests to Resident Evil. Now, years later, like around 2011, Resident Evil 4 was actually released on the Xbox 360 and PS3 HD edition. I actually downloaded the game, Resident Evil 4 first, and then after a while, I actually downloaded Resident Evil Code Veronica X. This is where I experienced my second classic Resident Evil game. And it was just amazing how it just started all of a sudden. I thought that Resident Evil 4 was fun, and everything was great. It was very entertaining. I just love it. Hold on a sec. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So, anyways, about the Code Veronica game. It was actually my second game I got for the classic Resident Evil games, and I actually enjoyed this game a lot. Now, the same year, 2011, I told my sister for eBay, because around this time, we've no longer had both Resident Evil 1 and 2. And it was really sad. So I told my sister on Christmas Day, "Can you please give me these 3 games?" It was all 3, Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 for the PlayStation 1. And everything was amazing, and I just loved it. The day that I actually unlocked the presents of those games, it was amazing. I just can't believe how many years have passed by and how much I just like these games. Nowadays, my favorite game of Resident Evil is the first one. It's actually the first one. I actually like the first one a lot. I now have all of them. I have all of them. They are all, wonderful to play. Of course, that some of them are actually, kind of like the low side of the my interest of Resident Evil. But I just as a fan and a collector of something, you just you just gotta show love to something what you just like, even if the game changes over time. always, show respect to the series you love, no matter how hard that they will change. I mean, as to me, the brand new Resident Evil game, Umbrella Corps, which is a very huge change to the Resident Evil franchise, which is taking to another route. It's a Call of Duty type of thing. I'm still going to get the game because it's part of Resident Evil. And as a true Resident Evil collector, I would collect anything that's related to Resident Evil. Anything. I would collect even the games that's actually in the same world or even inspired Resident Evil. I'm getting Sweet Home. Sweet Home is the game that actually inspired Resident Evil. The Evil Within is made by the same director of Resident Evil, Shinji Mikami. And even then, the Evil Within also have great Easter eggs related to Resident Evil. Dino Crisis is made by the same team of Resident Evil. Just so many things I just love about Resident Evil. Resident Evil has a great, huge impact to my heart. These 8 years of my life, I've been playing Resident Evil, and I never got tired of them. Resident Evil, I just show love to them. Especially Resident Evil 6. Yes, Resident Evil 6 is still really bad, but I still got show love because it has the title Resident Evil on it. I mean, no matter how hard they change the characters and everything, I'm still gonna love them. I mean, yeah, Chris is on steroids now, and Leon's getting really old, but still. Sometimes things just have to change, But that's how I got into Resident Evil. Years later, my brother had Resident Evil Degeneration. And he just gave it to me because he said that since you love Resident Evil a lot, I present you, this movie. That was also the very first Resident Evil movie I had in my collection. And so, it's thankful. Of course, that one day, my father actually bought me the entire collection in Blu-ray of the entire Resident movies, yes. Now, as a true Resident Evil fan, and I would hate to say this, especially to other Resident Evil fans, there's going to be another new movie that's coming out. So, I don't know when, but I'm going to go watch it in theaters. Because as a highly respected fan, not a fan of the movies, I just still gotta see it because it has the name Resident Evil on it. So, Resident Evil is always in my life. I will follow it. I follow everything about it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. I'm on those sites. I even follow the, Capcom's subscription. Everything about Resident Evil I do. I'm even on the Resident Evil fan base community on Facebook. And it's fun. I post a lot of things there all the time. So that's everything about Resident Evil, guys. This is what inspired me. This is how I got into Resident Evil. This is where I'm at right now. This is Brother Merc X signing off. And remember, our business is life itself. Bye-bye!